Hooray! What's up, everybody? Welcome to your Daily Dose of Awesome, your live 50 minutes of daily motivation, inspiration, and education so you can get your day started right. Today, JT and I, you guys should already know who JT is. He's the man, the myth, legend, leadership expert, expert in professional development. In fact, JT, what is you have a tagline or a saying in your business as it relates to your military background. What do you say?
I always say it's fly high, fly fast, and fly far.
Got it. And then you're a mission accomplished specialist. So what's the formula that you use to help your clients accomplish their mission?
Well, so it's a great question, Fernie. And when just to go back to that saying, the mission accomplishment specialist was a term that was given to me. I don't recall who exactly did it. It was a woman I was speaking to at a corporate event. She said, "You're kind of like that mission accomplishment specialist. You help people, kind of do the big things in their business and life." And from there, we came up with the tagline or the description of that I help people define and accomplish their personal missions in business and life. And a lot of it's about just being that self-starter, being that self-leader, but also being able to tap the resources that you need to accomplish anything you want.
That leads right into today's topic, which JT is going to lead. So, if you guys don't know who we are, my name is Fernie Sabalos. This is JT DeBolt. We are Elite Marketing Pro. We're experts in helping home business owners, that's network marketers, affiliate marketers, direct sellers, multiply their incomes using the internet, effectively using the internet to grow their network marketing businesses, generate leads, not only generate leads and prospects, but how to effectively even convert them, how to create community and a sense of culture while utilizing the best technology in the world to help you, help you leverage those technologies to help you grow your business. I personally have been responsible for over $15 million in gross income into my personal home businesses as a result of the skills that I first learned here at Elite Marketing Pro over 10 years ago. And what we're here to do is empower you. And so I'm actually going to hand this over to JT. And so if you're watching this right now, if you're part of our community, please share this live as it has everything to do with the most important skill you need in network marketing or any business for that matter in order to find every single thing you need to expand and grow your business quickly. And so with that said, JT, I'm going to hand it over to you, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on what is, in my opinion, probably the most important skill as an entrepreneur that's going to allow everybody, if they tap into it, to get everything they need from a resource standpoint in order to expand their business. So, JT, what is up? What wisdom do you have to share with us?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you being out here, buddy. I know that you've got a lot of stuff on your plate right now. You've got some big things you're working on, and it's just awesome anytime I get the opportunity to hang out with you. And I know everybody here in the Elite Marketing Pro community appreciates you and loves your wisdom. So what I will do is kind of take the torch from you for now, but I'd love to kind of bounce things off of you as we go. Today, what we're really talking about, my friends, is just like Fernie said, it's probably one of the most important characteristics you can have in business, especially since a lot of folks that are here are transitioning from something other than owning a business. Now, there's a lot of, what I call career entrepreneurs or career business owners. So meaning, ever since they were a kid, they had the lemonade stand or the paper route or whatever it was. And so they've kind of just gone from one business to the next, almost like a serial entrepreneur. But there's a vast majority of folks that I've had the privilege to talk to that are also making that transition either from corporate or from owning some sort of a franchise, but now they're in something that they're really excited about. The challenge I will share with you, though, is that as it sounds amazing, it sounds really great. We talk about having the time freedom and the financial freedom and the freedom of choice. The old saying is so true, freedom isn't free. You have to make sacrifices. And there's one big sacrifice that I see people sometimes stumble with and sometimes struggle with, particularly in the beginning stages of their business. And so I was talking to Fernie about this just this morning, and why we both agree that this is one of the more important characteristics and traits you have to have as an entrepreneur, and that is to be resourceful. Okay, now what does it mean to be resourceful? What it means is that you have to have the ability to think outside the box. And we celebrate this in entrepreneurship because we have that ability, right? We don't have a boss that's breathing down our neck. We don't have bureaucracy that's dictating our rules and, talking about how we have to run our business. We can really have the freedom to run it as we wish. What that means is you can work the hours you want. You can work, the days you want. You can dress pretty much how you wish. And all of those freedoms are great. But there comes with it a price. And I think a lot of people miss this in the very beginning stages. And because Fernie and Tim and Matt and the entire Elite Marketing Pros staff and team, including myself, are very passionate about your success, this is why we're talking about it today. It's that ability to not just be self-directed, but also to be disciplined enough to be your own boss. All right. Now, let's be clear on this. We talk about this, you hear it, it's a big buzzword, it's a big topic, and everybody loves the concept of firing their boss, right? Or becoming their own boss. But I want you to step back for just a moment, and I want you to think about the toughest boss you've ever had. Okay, it could have been the boss you had when you were in high school and you had that part-time job. It could be the boss you have right now if you're still working at JOB. Perhaps it's even the boss that you had at one point that you have forgotten about. Somebody you're like, I don't even want to think about that person. But I want you to think about how tough they were. I want you to think about the demands that they placed on you, and hopefully they were a good boss, meaning it wasn't necessarily somebody that you wanted to hang out with and have a drink with or spend your spare time with, but somebody that pushed you to be great, somebody who caused that entire organization or team to rise above. That's the kind of boss you have to be for yourself. A lot of times people come in here and they take the open, what I call the dry sponge approach, which is awesome. You want to be a dry sponge. You want to be here to soak things up. And they take on the attitude that I'm a student. I'm here to learn. Again, awesome qualities. But be careful not to go so far to where you become reliant on other people, all right? Where you become almost dependent upon them in order to make forward progress. One of the biggest challenges I've seen, and this is not coming from lazy people, by the way, nor is this coming from people who aren't intelligent, smart people. This is actually coming from people who have had an experience in leadership. They've had an experience, being a self-starter. They come over here and they say, hey, I'm going to just put myself out there. I'm going to be humble, but I'm going to lean on people. And that's a good quality to have, except when it becomes a crutch. Okay, so be careful about this. And then let me be clear. I want you guys to understand what I'm saying here in terms of being self-reliant, being a self-starter. You have to be willing to be resourceful. You have to be willing to think outside the box, seek out questions, seek out answers for yourself. It's not just about waiting for your coach or your mentor or anybody like that to feed you the answers, all right? It's not just about them showing the way. It's not just about going from one webinar to the next, one training to the next, with the hope that you're going to pack in as much knowledge as you can, and then you're going to take action. What this is about really is doing the best you can with what you have in the moment. And Fernie, I'd be curious to hear, because when you talked about your, when you came out here, you were saying, hey, I'm personally responsible for over $15 million in revenue. That doesn't come from a person that's waiting for the answers. That doesn't come from a person who's hoping their coach gets back to them, or their team member, their upline, downline, crossline, whatever, gets back to them. That comes from a dude who literally said, if it is to be, it's on me. Is that pretty true? Am I pretty close in my assumption there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, with a boss, I was thinking about the idea of having a boss, and the things, bringing back when I needed something at work that I didn't know how to get, I would just pretty much go to my boss and go, hey boss, I need to do this. Where do I find it? And then he tells me, and I go, okay, I go back. And then when I need something else, I go to my boss again. I was like, hey boss, this is what I need. And it creates a dependency on the boss, because he's supposed to know more than you. But now when you don't have that as an entrepreneur, when you're done and then you're stuck, important to that resourcefulness, the ability to be resourceful, has to do with you're stuck. When you're taking action on something you were taught inside Elite Marketing Pro or somewhere else, let's say by your upline, and then you get stuck, you're like, oh, but what do I say if this happens, or if they ask me this question? What do I do if this happens? Or something happened that I didn't expect. What do I do? And resourcefulness can come in a number of ways. It's in your ability to think fast. It's in your ability to go seek out the answer. And I think what I see a lot of new entrepreneurs, especially network marketing, because network marketing is so unique in the world in that it's the one space where everybody's in transition. They're transitioning from employee to an entrepreneur mindset, and so so when you're stuck, when people are stuck in their business, they haven't yet. Most of them haven't yet, developed the skills to seek out their own answers, and it's purely a mental game. Because if you really wanted to know, how to install that plugin on your, on your website or whatever it is you're struggling with, a couple of things would happen. You can Google it. You can search it on YouTube. Or I mean, pretty much those two things will solve almost, every question you may have about any given topic. Those two actions. Yet people don't do that for whatever reason. So the simplest the simplest thing that they can do in order to become resourceful, they don't do it. They'd rather go to their mentor and ask a question. They post something in a group, in whatever group, whether it's in their business organization, or if they're part of Elite Marketing, they post in the group. They ask a question, and then of course they tag all of us. But then, our answer is going to be, oh, well, you can search it on YouTube.
Right.
And that's when they have the aha going, oh. and I think people believe that that's for some reason the skills of an entrepreneur, the skills that we're teaching in marketing, or just the skill of creating a website is somehow unique to our community, and these answers don't exist elsewhere. We do our darnest to create as much training as possible so that people don't have to, search it out on their own and wander. But sometimes you got to do that, and the willingness to do that, and the ability to quickly realize that you need to kind of think outside the box is something that at first a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. What do you think?
Absolutely. And, as you were talking here, I was just kind of looking at some of the quotes or some of the comments here in the comment section. Jonas is talking about how he loves his boss. And Linda was talking about she's been fortunate to have a lot of great bosses. And by the way, what we're not talking about here is necessarily nice people, right? We're not talking about people that are going to put their arm around your shoulder. You're going to get a lot of amazing support here at EMP. And that's the one thing that I think I'm most proud of is the quality of leadership. It's not just about people telling you what you want to hear or propping you up and giving you the old attaboy on the shoulder. It's about people that are going to empower you. They're going to strengthen you by giving you the tools, the strategies, the techniques, and everything that's required to be successful as a self-standing business owner. So the key to it is this, and you guys, if you want to type a 2 in there, give me like a peace sign in the quotes if this is resonating with you. Here's what I want you to hear. This is if I was to be buried today, if I was going to vaporize and go on to the next level of existence, whatever you believe, if I was going to die, and they were going to have a funeral for me, on my epitaph, on my headstone, I guess, my epitaph would be my personal quote. And my personal quote is this, feel free to write it down if it works for you. You have everything you need to accomplish anything you want. Now, when I share this with people, whether it's in a coaching session or if I'm speaking live from stage, when I say that, a lot of times people are like, whoa, what are you talking about, man? If only you knew what I need right now. But really, it feels overwhelming. But a lot of times what it comes down to is there's really 4 categories of resources that you need to accomplish anything you want in your business or your life. Number 1 is time. All right. Number 2 is money. Number 3 is resources, meaning it might be equipment like a laptop, computer, a cell phone, internet connection. And then the 4th one is people. Now, a lot of times people get wrapped up around the stuff, right? They're like, well, if I had a laptop or if I had a better Wi-Fi connection or if I had this, if I had that, they get wrapped up on the stuff. Then they get wrapped up on the money, of course, because as we all know, money is required when you're making an investment in a business. If it's a real business, you're going to have to make some level of an investment. So they get wrapped up in the stuff and the money. But what they fail to remember is the 2 most important resources to get anything you want, and to be a self-directed leader, to be a personal leader, to lead yourself, to lead others. It comes down to time and it comes down to people. All right. So if you can get yourself clear on having those be your top priorities, the money will come. If you surround yourself with the right kind of people and you lean on them, you'll find the time, you'll find the money, you'll find the equipment and the stuff that you got to have. If you're short on money, then you got to put the time in. But here's the key to this. Asking for help and asking for support from your mentors and your coaches is a sign of strength. It is not a sign of weakness. Where it becomes a weakness is if you become reliant on other people, meaning you won't take action, you won't take that step. Or as Fernie was talking about, you don't use YouTube. I think YouTube they should just call the universe of the world, or the university of the world, right? World University. They should just stop calling it YouTube, because you can literally get basically a degree in just about anything by going to YouTube. Now, the key is you have to be very, very strategic about it. You can't just go on YouTube and go, okay, I'm going to plop myself down here at my desk for 2.5 hours and watch YouTube videos. You basically have to go in there with a set intention of what you want to learn, what you want to get great at, and give yourself 1 hour basically to get really great at it or less, and take at least one thing away from any kind of video, any kind of training, whether it's a webinar or a recorded video, and say that one thing is what I'm going to apply. One thing. So if this is resonating with you, by the way, type in a 2, give me a peace sign there, a virtual peace sign, because I want to make sure you guys are really getting this. In order for you to be immensely successful in your business, you can write your own paycheck. All right, you can make as much money as you want in this industry. That's the beautiful part about it. EMP has been built specifically to give you the tools, the strategies, the techniques, everything you need, plus the support to get there. The key, and this is so crucial, is that you have the capacity to believe that you have everything you need to accomplish anything you want. You might have to be more creative, all right? You might have to be more bold. But as the great Basil King once said, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And it's so true. And Fernie, I'll tell you this, even at my point in my career, I haven't been around as long as you have. I have found that it's so important to lean on cool people and great people like yourself. But I always want to come equipped, not just with questions, but with solutions. So here's the question I would pose to you. If I'm a brand new person and I come to Fernie Ceballos and I'm like, hey, Fernie, I've got a question. How do I execute on this one thing? Here's what I've tried in the past. And I give you 2 or 3 things that I've tried in the past. How far does that go as compared to, Fernie, I need help? What say you to that?
Well, so I was thinking a couple things as you were talking, but to answer your question right now directly, I much prefer a student, or if I was a boss, I'd much prefer an employee who comes to me and goes, hey, boss, this is what ended up happening. Sucks or whatever. But this is what I think we should do in order to kind of recover from that. What do you think? Already coming with a solution or a potential solution to a mentor shows that you've demonstrated a willingness to think on your own. And that when you come up with ideas, that's something your mentor or boss or whoever or superior or whoever you're sharing this with, it gives them the ability to kind of feed off of your ideas, and it gets their gears going as well. So if you catch somebody cold, it's like, oh, what do I do? It's depending on the person, it might be a little harder for them to kind of help you come up with a solution. But even if they come up with a solution, you're still not training yourself to start thinking on your own and start kind of answering your own questions. One of the things we teach at our workshops, at our mentorship workshops, especially when people get stuck, and I'm not an expert on how to follow this process. Actually, Tim Irway, where you start answering yourself questions. So rather than asking yourself, why didn't this work, or why did this happen to me, basically avoid asking yourself why questions and start asking yourself what and how questions. What might I do differently? What might I do in this situation to get out of it? How may I do these things? When you start asking yourself what and how questions on, when you're faced with a state of stuck or a dilemma, these questions get your mind to start working in a more resourceful way, as opposed to asking yourself, why did this happen? Why didn't this work? Why didn't this? I mean, it seems extreme to start, talking about the subtle psychology of language here. But by asking yourself what and why questions, there's no way for you to get back to feeling sorry for yourself. It immediately shifts you to becoming resourceful just by the questions you ask yourself. Now, if you guys have just had an aha moment about the questions, help you be the questions you ask yourself help you become resourceful. Drop me a number 3. I'm going to share a quick story with you as it relates to money, finding more money for what you need. So early on in our career, like in 2008, my partner and I at the time, I was with a business partner at the time. We were offered an opportunity to be mentored by the best in the world in the SEO and consulting world. And at the time, we had just barely launched our business. We had a little bit of money coming in, but nothing to cry out loud about. And so this mentorship program, we really wanted to do it. It was offered on a webinar. It was a year-long mentorship program where this mentor, who we trusted, offered to reveal everything, every single thing about his business, every process, every diagram, every piece of copy. It basically created an operating manual for how he runs his business that we can then model for what we're doing. The price tag for this mentorship program was $60,000. We did not have $60,000, but we knew we really wanted to do this. We really wanted to be a part of this mentorship program. And so after the webinar, I'm like, we're all our eyes that would open. We're not even scared of the number. We're not even scared of the price point. So it kind of shows you where our mindset was at the time. But we didn't have the money either. And so when I got on the phone with my partner, the first questions we asked ourselves is not, should we do it? Should I? No. It wasn't should I, can we? It wasn't that. It was how. We immediately both, almost simultaneously in jinx mode, asked ourselves, okay, how do we do this? And we started going through all these ideas on how we can raise the funds and come up with the money, etc. Ultimately, the answer ended up being pretty simple. We ended up going on a payment plan. And so we had one credit card that had, I think, a balance, an available balance of like $7,000, and that was the max. $7,000 was the max. So we went on a 12-month payment program for $5,000 a month. So our goal for the next year in our business was to make enough to pay off that credit card so we can afford the next payment. And so the resourcefulness did not end there, but that got us on a track where we start asking how questions, and as time went on, every single month, we're becoming more and more resourceful and asking ourselves more what and how questions to take our business to a higher level so we could actually afford to continue paying for that program. Ultimately, that decision to join that program led to a $700,000 month. And by becoming resourceful and asking ourselves the right questions, I mean, I literally wouldn't be here today talking to you guys right now.
I just personally just had a huge breakthrough, and I'm going to share it with you right here. It's one of the most, I would say, impressive demonstrations that a human being can have in their life. It doesn't matter whether it's a business thing or a personal thing. You can find that person that you find to be the love of your life, and you think, oh man, for whatever reason, they're so perfect. How could they possibly be my soulmate? And you go up and you have that bold 20 seconds of courage, as they say, and you ask them out on the date. Or in this case, you and your business partner saying, what must we do in order to make this thing happen? To me, I personally believe, Fernie, that it's one of the most, I can't even say that, one of the most courageous, one of the most personally awesome demonstrations of personal excellence when a person goes, that's what I want, I am going to have it, let's make it happen, right? That resolve that you and your business partner had, or anybody who's ever done anything great. And listen, if you're listening to this right now and you're in a situation where you're saying to yourself, that's what I want, I will make it happen, now let's go figure out how to do it, I want you to type a 5 in there, okay? Because I want to see public declarations of your badassery, of your personal awesomeness, of your personal excellence, and a declaration that not only do you recognize what you want from life, you recognize that you're worth it and that you'll figure it out. You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, you don't even have to have the first step figured out yet, but that you're committed to absolutely finding the answer. I want to see the 5s typed in there because I see a ton of 2s. I see a lot of 3s from your previous question, Fernie, and that tells me a lot about the caliber of people that are coming here to the Daily Dose of Awesome. So lots of cool people typing in 5s. I love it. This is the last thing I'll say, and then I want to kind of turn it over to you. I know we're running a little bit late, but you and I are on fire today, so I'm not going to judge that. if you take on, I remember when I was in the military and we had tough commanding officers, they would put demands on us that at times felt impossible. We were thinking to ourselves, there's no way we're going to pull this off. This mission literally feels impossible. But whenever they gave us our marching orders, they said, do you have any questions? We would ask the questions we knew to ask. And then we would take off with what we called the Roger that mentality. Literally, they would say, okay, so does everybody clear on what you have to do? Yes, sir. All right. Any questions? No, sir. All right. Then go off and make it happen. We'd be like, Roger that. And that attitude was one of ownership. That attitude was one of, we will find a way. We will find an answer. And I will give you one last thing. A mentor of mine gave this to me fairly recently. I was up against the stops in my business. I just was very frustrated. I could not come up with a solution to a big challenge. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, here's what I'm up against. He said, let's jump on a quick call. And I said, great. I know you're busy. I'm busy. So let's do it. So he gets on the phone and he goes, outline to me what the challenge is. And I gave him all the parameters and I gave him every reason why it was tough and everything I tried. These are the things I've tried. This is what's happened to me. He asked me one powerful question, and I want to give you this question today, and I want you to really think about this, all right? I want you to think about this, and I hope that you can implement this into your life and have as much power as it had for me. He said, JT, if somebody came to you with the exact same solution or exact same challenge, what solution would you provide them? Now think about this right now. In your life, in your business, whatever you're up against, your biggest challenge, if somebody came up to you and they trusted you, it could be somebody that you love and know. It could be somebody that's in your downline, somebody who's invested money with you. And they said, hey, I'm up against this. What advice would you give them? I will tell you this. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds overly simplified. And you're thinking to yourself, JT, if I get to answer that and I have the solution. If you actually sit and ruminate on that, meditate on it, whatever you need to do with that question, you will find the answer. But you have to have the Roger that mentality. Roger that, I will find an answer. And if you say to yourself, now what would I tell my younger self? Or what would I tell my kids? What would I tell, my ideal client if they were in my exact situation? I promise you this, the answer is inside you. Bernie, I'll tell you that was one of the single most important things. He told me that and he goes, call me back. Bam, hung up. And literally in an hour, I was like, I got it. And I called him back and he's like, okay, then I expect you to come back to me in a week and report back to me on this on the progress. And when I did, I was like, hey, I'm making progress where I wouldn't have made progress without that question. So that's what I have to kind of close out with.
Awesome, man. If you guys have found this powerful, if you can think of one person in your life that you believe needs to hear this message, share this video right now on your personal fan page. Share this on your personal profile. Share this message because I think this is probably, for me, the most important thing I had to master early. It wasn't Facebook ads. It wasn't how to create funnels. It's how to become resourceful. And I want to give people another example because there's also some humility that I've experienced that can be involved in this resourcefulness. There were a couple of events in the past, No Excuses Summits, where I had some incredible stories of people that went through hell and high water to get to that event. One guy, he didn't have the money to attend the event, but what he did do was that for the 6 months leading up to the event, he went around his town and neighborhood. I guess he lived in a somewhat rural area, and so he went around in his truck and collected scrap metal for 3 months. That scrap metal that he collected turned out to just be enough to pay for his ticket to No Excuses. Now he needed to figure out how to get to No Excuses. So he continued to collect scrap metal for the next 3 months leading up to the event. About a week before the event, he came up with enough money from the scrap metal that he collected so that he can drive from Connecticut to Vegas.
Holy cow.
And he showed up without a place to stay. He was happy to just sleep in his truck. I think somebody at the event actually gave him a floor to sleep on in their hotel room. And so he's the happiest guy in the room because of the insane lengths that he had to go through. And let me rephrase that. I don't think what he did was that insane, actually. It's something I actually kind of recommend sometimes when people tell me they don't have money for a certain tool, or they don't have money for to spend on advertising. Because they talk about all the reasons why they don't have the money, and they're really tight, whatever. And of course, I don't want them to take away money from the table of their family. I don't want to take away food from the table. I was like, sometimes I go, do you drink soda? Or does somebody in your house drink soda? Or do you drink anything that's bottled? They're like, yeah. Well, there's your budget right there. Like, you know, being able to collect and recycle stuff. If you have to go to other places and find recyclables that you can turn in, and there's your ad budget for the day. Really, I'm not beyond recycling now. I have a bag full of bottles that I put in my backyard. Eventually, they pile up. Hey, let's go take a trip to the recycling center, and there's $50 to $100 that I didn't have before. For a lot of people, that is their ad budget. That's almost like a full month's worth of ad budget that they're not thinking about. That's not only resourcefulness, but a little humility. I mean, I know we're all supposed to be big shot entrepreneurs and marketers, but hey, I don't think anybody in this space, if you really need the money, is above collecting cans or doing anything else like that guy did at to make it to No Excuses. For me, that's true personal leadership.
Absolutely, man. What a cool story too. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's it for today, guys. If you guys found power in what we talked about, some of you guys are sharing some great stories. I'd love for you to do a couple things. One, drop us a number 7. Let us know that you really appreciated this message today. Drop us a number 7. And also, I want you guys to share a little bit of a short personal anecdote in the comments about a time in your life when you had to become resourceful. And just share that with people here so that hopefully your story can empower a few people. We're going to log off now of our Daily Dose of Awesome. If you're watching this and want to know more about what we do here at Elite Marketing Pro, go to elitemarketingpro.com. You can download 2 incredible resources. You can download our online recruiting bootcamp, which is a free course on how to build your business online, and a social media recruiting guide put together by my friend Julie Burke, absolutely free. And then if you like what you see, you can choose to be a part of our incredible community and invest in a couple very low priced products and trainings that I believe will not only help you become resourceful, but actually can change your life. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for being on, and we will see you guys on... Wait, today's Thursday, so tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks, JT, for being on, man.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.